What up, everybody? It is Crux here with Crux of Crypto, coming to you live every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope all is well. I got some pretty big news for you today. By the end of this live stream, you'll know if Crux is buying Lighter. Lighter is a hot token. It just dropped today. Everybody wants a piece of it, but I'm going to do my due diligence and walk you guys through why I think this is either going to be a buy or a sell. So what I've not done yet is I have not looked too in depth into the financials of it because I want to do this live with you guys and explain how, as a crypto analyst, I can do these things. And then hopefully you can learn from these things as well. So also we'll talk about the ETP that that Grayscale just submitted, which is huge for TAO. So bittensor TAO, it's a project we love here on this channel. It's my favorite AI crypto play. And I think having some exposure to that one is pretty dope. And then lastly, we'll wrap this thing up with my future outlook on 2026. What's going to happen with Bitcoin? So if this is your first time here, welcome in. I'm Crux, and make sure you smash those likes, share this with a friend, and subscribe. So before we get into anything else, we'll jump into the trending cryptocurrencies of the day and the overall market sentiment. And then we'll jump into my breakdown of Lighter. Let's do it. Okay, so again, this is me not rehearsing anything. I see what I see. We're sitting at just over $3 trillion. We've been here for what seems like forever. It is like a clock that is just not moving. Like, what is going on? 3 trillion. We've been here for at minimum 2 months. Really, ever since that October 11th crash, we dumped from a little bit over 4 trillion. We moved to about 2.8 trillion, if I'm not mistaken, as an overall asset class. And then we just pushed back above 3, and now it's just very boring. But within all of this price action, we have these projects that are still launching. So whether bull or bear market, crypto continues to move. Lighter is the big crypto of the day. This is a project I've been talking about quite a while now at this point. And it's because of the metrics behind it. So what we'll do here in a second, we'll talk about Hyperliquid, we'll talk about Aster, and then we'll talk about how Lighter is the new big dog on the block. So Eliza OS, this is going to be an AI agent. These things, I believe, are the future. Now, this play in particular, I'm not going to say run out and buy it. I think AI agents are going to be reputable, at least in the next bull market. And really the way that I play these is I just buy virtuals. I think virtuals is a solid pick. And again, I talked a little bit about TAO earlier. That is a marketplace for neural networks. It's pretty dope. You can build AI agents on it within their subnetworks, or their subnets rather. And I think Eliza, I would probably refrain from this one in particular. I think AI agents, you should probably just stick with virtuals for now because it's an unproven market right now in crypto. So Canton, this is another big dog on the block. It is its first bull market. I want to say it's been out for less than a year, if I'm not mistaken, but we're starting to see some pretty good price action. Canton is an institutional project, but they're really trying to take the traditional finance approach into the L1 networks. So think of this more like a centralized network, but in crypto, something very important to remember, not everything needs to be decentralized. The only thing that really most importantly needs to be decentralized is money. Because if a monetary network is broken, then all dollars between like what I have, what you have, it's all compromised and we must find a new currency. So decentralization is a must in peer-to-peer networks. But whenever you have something like a Solana or like a SUI created by, a SUI created by Miston Labs, it's okay if they control a good amount of the nodes because they're not looking to be the next money. They're more or less looking to be just a new network, a new internet per se. All right, continue moving on. Zcash. So privacy tokens just minted their very first time ever being #1 by niche in quarterly performance. So Q4 of 2025, Zcash came out ripping. If you know anything about September or October, this project up here called Zcash, it is essentially what got ZK proofs adopted. They have a very strong team over there. I like what they're doing, but ultimately I'm not sold on it. So I've not bought any Zcash. If you buy Zcash, I'm not going to hate on you. I just hold over 70 cryptos, and at this point I'm way overexposed to what crypto is because I support projects. I don't really I mean, I do invest to make money, but at the same time, I buy projects to support them. And even if the project's not going to be the best ROI, I'm okay with buying it because I want some of these things to really win out in the end. Pudgy Penguins, I think, is a fine diversification piece into NFTs slash memes, essentially. I wouldn't have too much exposure to those. Now, I think personally, 10% of a portfolio in memes is fine. That's Dogecoin, Sheeb, that's Bonk, these type of plays. What I don't like to, what I don't like when people do is the entire crypto market's dropping and they hate on meme coins like it's something different. You know, anytime the markets are pumping, meme coins are pumping harder. Anytime it's dumping, guess what follows the hardest? It is the meme coins because those pump the hardest. So something to consider is having at most 10% allocation to meme coins is not the end of the world. It's okay to have some Dogecoin or even some Pudgy Penguin. All right, moving on. We got Bitcoin is trending because it's the big dog. Everybody wants to know, is it going to get to $94,000? Because if it doesn't, Crux has a video he's going to drop. And it's a quick spoiler. It's about the first quarterly the first yearly candle that happens after a Bitcoin halving. So every time we've had a green candle that happens a year after a Bitcoin halving, which in April of 2024, Bitcoin had a halving event, which cut the reward to 3.125 Bitcoin per blocks. That's solved. So that's something to consider is if you're able to solve a block nowadays, it was cut last year. And the year after, typically by supply shock, it's a bullish year. This is the first time in Bitcoin's history, we're going back 15 years, where this cycle may break if Bitcoin does not get above 90. I think it's like 93.8. So we have like 24 hours. Well, more like 30 something hours for Bitcoin to get up there. And it can do that. Do not sleep on Bitcoin. I mean, if I was a trader, I'd probably be longing right now just to see if some whales are going to try to bring that candle up to a green candle. Moving on, we got Hyperliquid. This one's trending because lighter is a big token of the day. So people are going to be looking at what Hyperliquid is to compare it, right? Hyperliquid was the big dog. It's the first mover in terms of Perp-DEXs at that scale. So there's Perp-DEXs before Hyperliquid, just like there was ZK knowledge proofs before Zcash, or just like there was proof of work networks before Bitcoin. The very important thing is which one gets the stuff adopted. And Hyperliquid, good job. I have exposure to Hyperliquid, I have exposure to Aster, and we will see within the next 10 minutes if Crux is going to buy some lighter, because I'm going to do the analysis here with you live. Moving on, we got some Monero. This is another privacy token. I actually personally like Monero more than Zcash because 100% of the transactions are forced into privacy transactions as opposed to what shielding is, which is a kind of like their flagship piece over there at Zcash. Moving on, Ethereum, Aster, bittensor. I've already talked a little bit about each of those. They're clearly trending for reasons. bittensor, again, has the ETP we'll talk about right after the lighter news. Aster is a comparison to lighter. And then Ethereum, we got the Fusaka hard fork upgrade that just completed. It's battling with that $3,000 price, which isn't that bad. You know, things to consider. There's a lot of cryptos that are down much more than Ethereum is in comparison to itself earlier this year. Moving on, we got some Monad. This is a layer one. I'm not going to call it hot layer one. In crypto, what happens is we get these new projects that launch, let's just say quarterly. Every quarter, every 3 months, we have a brand new L1, and it thinks it's the hottest thing out, right? Now, whenever you're special, you can become a Solana, you can become a Sui, etc. But then we have all these other L1s that pop up, and you're trying to determine as an altcoin holder, which one do I buy? There's thousands, millions of cryptos, and I can't hold them all. So I have to figure out which ones I need to buy. Monad in particular has not done anything new. So they are a layer one. They're EVM compatible. But again, you didn't create some new smart contract programming language. You didn't create some new proof of work X system or whatever, consensus model. You were just existing. And we need more than just things to exist. We need innovation, which is why I'm very bullish on Caspa. Definitely follow my content if you hold Caspa because I love it. Aerodrome. So Aerodrome, I think, is Overall, a bullish project. I hold a good amount of it. It's a big dip today, 6.8% to the downside. So I don't know too much about this in particular. So I don't want to talk too much about that. But after this, I'll go ahead and jump into Discord. I'll make sure I send out some sort of notification today about why Aerodrome is dropping, because that's a pretty big dip. And I think we should look into it. Also, our Discord's free, so why not jump in? Then we got some Jasmy, another project I hold, and we got some XRP. So that about wraps it up. I'm not going to get too long-winded on why I like XRP, but I'll tell you, I do a lot of portfolio audits with you guys, and almost all of you guys are buying XRP, and I ask why. I think that's a pretty good question. Why are people holding XRP? And I think this is like the gateway crypto. You know, if you ask 10 people in crypto, what was the very first crypto that you purchased? I would say probably like 4 out of the 10 would say Bitcoin. Maybe 1 out of 10 or 2 out of 10 would say like a Dogecoin. But I think like 3 to 4 would be either Ethereum or XRP. So those are going to be like your big ones. It's like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin. You have a pretty big fan base that's brand new getting into crypto that way. And then again, XRP. So the more you know, you know. All right, let's go ahead and jump into some lighter, and then we'll jump into some Q&A right after. So first, let me explain what lighter is. So it is a Perp-DEX, and Perp-DEXs are separate from DEXs because they allow you to add on additional leverage, and there's some other ways that you can trade, spot, etc., without having to go through a decentralized exchange such as like a Uniswap, for example. But to be fair, a lot of these decentralized exchanges are starting to swap to perpetual DEXs, which allow you to trade stuff like futures. So this is very important in terms of being able to have access to specific liquidity. And if we know anything about the October 10th event, it was done through Hyperliquid. So the good thing and the bad thing about Perp-DEXs is they're not centralized. So whenever something's not centralized, you can exploit it much easier. However, if we technically explain the October 10th event, Binance, which is the biggest exchange, was compromised. Well, they were more exploited. They weren't compromised. They were exploited, which in turn sent all the crypto markets down because they have the most liquidity. So in crypto, as an analyst, the number one thing you look for in terms of trading volume is, or Perp-DEXs is trading volume. So very important going forward. That's what lighter is. You can jump on there. You can 10x some Bitcoin. The trading pairs aren't crazy good on really any of them, like Hyperliquid, Aster. I haven't really looked too much into lighter yet, but the trading pairs will be like Bitcoin and Ethereum, or something like super basic. Like where are all the DGEM picks? Like where can I get some I don't know, something outside the top 100? So I think that's what crypto is really fighting to get, is a Perp-DEX with good trading pairs. And I think so far, Aster is going to win that race. So we will see going forward. All right, lighter. So first of all, people are going to ask, where can I get lighter, Crux? It's going to be over there on Coinbase here fairly shortly. This is specifically from the X Twitter. It says, we'll go live when liquidity conditions are met. So it looks like they're looking to get in some more lighter, but something we'll also look into is how much tokens are in circulation. This is super important. Tokenomics are massive in crypto. So I would say it's a top 2 to 3 in terms of what I'm personally investing in. First is the team. I always invest in visionaries. If Elon Musk creates a crypto, I'm going to buy it, no matter what. If you see a lot of people buy WLFI because Trump, or they'll buy Trump token. So a lot of people buy who the visionary is. If Vitalik Buterin goes and creates another crypto, I'm going to go buy it. So I think team is always going to be the best thing because they understand it better than all of us do, personally. Or they understand it better than all of us do. But secondly is the tokenomics. So what happens if a quarter of the tokens that will ever be minted are already in circulation? And this is a perfect example of lighter because that is exactly what they are dealing with. 250 million tokens are in circulation as of today, and they have a 1 billion max supply. So we have something called FDV, which is your fully diluted value. This is as if all billion tokens are in circulation with the current price. So technically what you would do is you'd multiply the price by times 4 to get the FDV value. But we'll look a little bit more into that here shortly. Yeah, moving on. So Coinbase expect it within the coming days to be listed there as supply is pushed in their direction. All right, so what I've done here is I found about 3 good posts that talk about things that are relevant, and I think that will help you guys make the same decision. Well, an educated decision. It doesn't have to be the same as mine. I'm just telling you guys what I'm doing in terms of if I'm going to buy this token or not. And we'll know by the end of these 3 posts. I'll do my final guess, and we'll jump into some Q&A. All right, so this guy, he ran the numbers versus hype, and I think this is super important. In crypto, you always compare each project to at a minimum, 2 things. You're going to do against Bitcoin, because if your project is riskier than Bitcoin, it better have a better ROI. So that's number 1. You compare everything to Bitcoin, whether it's a Hyperliquid, an Ethereum, a Sui, a Solana, a Bonk, anything. Compare it to Bitcoin. Secondly, you compare it to its biggest competitor. So in this case, we are comparing Lighter with Hype, which is Hyperliquid. This one's been out for coming on, I think almost 2 years at this point, if I'm not mistaken. It's been out for a while. So what we'll do is we'll look at this. This is also comparing it against, so the percentage wise. And what we want to do is we want to compare it in terms of its current market cap to the numbers that it's, grabbing in revenue fees from revenue, from TVL to trading pairs to, there's so many different ways that we can value these things. And that's what we want to do. So, well, first of all, let's see what does it have it listed here, what the market caps of both of them are? Let's get an up-to-date. We'll go right here. So we'll go Hyperliquid. Hype is the ticker. We're sitting at about 6 billion. And if I'm not mistaken, that's about a 10x from Lighters. I think it's LIT. LIT is the ticker. Yep, right there. And it's about, yeah, okay. So for this exercise, we'll just say a 10x. If the market cap is 10 times smaller than Hyperliquid, then it better be doing a minimum of a 10th of each of the other metric, or Hyperliquid's a better asymmetric buy. So that is a way to look at it. But remember, I talked about FDV. We go back and look at the tokens in circulation. You see it right here at the left. Circulating supply is 250 million. The total supply is 1 billion tokens that will ever be in circulation. So Hyperliquid's going to have more of a circulating supply. So remember, if I buy these tokens today, 75% of the tokens will be released in the future, which essentially dilutes the value of my tokens. Remember that, because it's bigger than just doing 1/10. Just like I said, there's more to consider in terms of the teams, tokenomics, etc. So let's go back into here. All right, bring that up so you can see it, and I'll see if I can zoom in a little bit. I don't think I will be able to. Open image in a new. Try this. There we go. All right, so the market cap, actually it did have the market cap. The Lighter market cap is much lower than it is here. So up here it says 870 million. Right now it's sitting at about 700 million. So it'd be about the 10% we just looked at. The FDV, talked about that already. Your revenue, super important. And we just talked about it, if you're able to do 1/10, I will give you the green light, right? The revenue of the 14-day, the 30-day, and the 60-day is all just 1/5, which is awesome. You're sitting at 1/5 of the revenue at 1/10 of the market cap. Huge. So I'm already starting to feel a little bit warm inside. Started to like this project a little bit. Analyzed revenue, pretty important as well, and it's sitting roughly about the same. So, and I guess here's some other numbers to make it make sense. You have Hyperliquid up there for the market cap divided by the annual revenue. And you see that Lighter has a lower multiple, but again, has a lower market cap. So already, I'm off to a good start. I'm liking what I'm seeing with Lighter. And I'll also pull up DeFi Llama here after I go through all 3 posts, because that's the most relevant information. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into post number 2. So LIT is trading around 2.7 bill FDV, which puts it at roughly 10% of Hyperliquid's So I would have already known it if I just read this post first, but I didn't. I'm doing it with you guys. So here we go with the tokenomics, super big. 50% of the ecosystem, 50% of the team plus the investors. I'm already not liking this. Not a red flag, but it's a yellow flag. There's a warning, that I really want to throw, like Aster. If you know anything about Aster, the tokenomics are insanely good. We're talking about 80% plus that's going to the community. We're talking about token burns out the wazoo. What I see here is 50% of all tokens, so 500 million tokens, will go to a select number of individuals to include just the team and the investors, which could be, maybe 30, 40 people. Like if you have a global project, then why are the people not getting the supply? I think that's always a question you want to ask. But let's go ahead and continue to review. We got 25% of the ecosystem already airdropped. I like that. So 1/4 of the supply is already airdropped. The team and the investors do not have the tokens yet. Very important. Why is this important? Because Crux, didn't you say earlier with FDV, your tokens will be diluted as investors and insiders get those tokens? Yes. Because let's look at the price of Lighter right now. It's sitting at 2.83, right? That is the current price of Lighter. Guess what happens whenever they get those unlocks? It's probably going to happen. We'll continue reading to see when those unlocks happen. But these guys may have bought these tokens at 50 cents. So if you're already up like a 6 or a 7x, the moment they get those tokens, guess who's the exit liquidity? It is you. So again, this is kind of turning into a teaching stream, but I think it's very important for you guys to understand this stuff because you don't want to get dumped on. You don't want to be exit liquidity. So I went from a yellow flag. I'm starting to feel a little bit more green because this was an airdrop. The team and the investors don't have it. Let me go ahead and throw this out there. If the team does not get it within the next 2 years, I'm going to turn this into a green flag. For now, it's still yellow. All right. Remaining ecosystem allocation reserved for future incentives. That's fair. Okay, so the team is 26%, investors is 24%. That's good as well. I'd much rather the team get it than the investors. It's a 1-year cliff. 1-year cliff plus 3-year linear vesting after. So typically cliff unlocks, it happens typically pretty violent. For example, Ondo. On January 18th, Ondo is going to have a token unlock event. That unlocks 18% of the total supply, and they do this every year on January 18th. So this is called a cliff unlock. It happens on one day at one moment. Now, other unlocks are linear unlock. So, and you can mix them too. So you could have a cliff unlock that goes to a linear unlock. What this shows me is I'm not yet ready to turn this into a green flag, but I'm still going to keep it at a yellow flag. What I would do in this situation is by this time next year, let's just say by Christmas of next year, get ready to take profits on your Lighter. Remember, people buy the rumor, sell the news. So you're not going to be smart knowing that, oh, the team's going to get in a couple of days. I'm going to go ahead and offload my tokens now. People are going to front run you. So I'm thinking more like December 1st, take your profits on Lighter if you're not going to hold it long term. So moving on. Early buyback. So looks like they're going to have a very similar system to what Aster does, which are token buybacks. And I love this. Basically what happens is through trading fees on the platform, they take those tokens and they buy some and they burn. So you could do two different things. You take that revenue, you buy some tokens that are off, you buy some tokens that are unreleased yet, or you could buy two things. So you buy the tokens that are already released, or you can burn the tokens that are already released. A third thing would be you could release tokens, but that's not how they do these. They typically release them based off of a vesting schedule. All right. So we see how that guy wants to play it. All right. So far, before we get into this third post and I make my final assessment, I'm already feeling pretty good about this. It is 1/10 the size of a Hyperliquid. It is pulling metrics at about 1/5 of, stuff like daily revenue, etc. Probably even higher than that. And we'll get into DeFi Llama at the end of the third one just to double verify. but I'm already starting to feel real good about the tokenomics. I'm not the biggest fan of, but I don't think it's a red flag to stay away from it. And again, other than the team, which I haven't talked about here, and I'm probably not going to look into it here, Aster has, in my opinion, the best team. I love to see what Aster's doing with their marketing. And let's move on to this third post. All right. Okay, so this one is David Sachs, and I haven't confirmed this one, by the way. So what is true is that David Sachs was sworn into as a crypto czar. He was forced to divest from his liquid crypto holdings, leading people to believe that Craft Ventures sold their lighter position. However, Craft Ventures received this waiver, permitting them to keep their seed investment listed Schedule A, so which includes lighter. So what we're seeing here is one of the most influential people in terms of getting crypto adopted in the United States. So he is the AI and the crypto czar, David Sachs. If you know anything about the All In podcast, very intelligent man. He owns some lit, apparently. So this is, again, first time I'm hearing about it. We have a TLDR right here. The U.S. crypto czar owns lit, and Lighter is explicitly building in the U.S. Make of that what you will. And we know this administration is super pro crypto. They love made in America cryptos in particular. So if you look at the strategic reserve so far, these are all illicitly received. Well, this is all crypto confiscated from illicit activity. So we have Bitcoin, we have Ethereum, we have XRP, Solana, and ADA, Cardano. So these 5 projects, American made, all of them. I mean, Bitcoin technically not. And if you really want to be technical, Vitalik Buterin is Canadian, so take with that what you will. But American-made cryptos are on the rise, and David Sachs has some lit. So do with that as you will. All right, let's see. Okay, so last thing was check out DeFi Llama just to double verify, and I'll make my final assessment on if Crux is going to go buy some lighter after this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the metrics over here on the left-hand side. I'm going to go down to Perp TVL. Well, actually, let's Control F this one. Control F Perp. Perp volume by protocol, huge. So as you can see, we are in the era of Perp-DEXs. We're going all the way back, and we're starting to see more and more volume, even in a bear market, possibly. I mean, bearish period. Volume is still even higher than ever. So if there's any projects that you want to grab, it's going to be your Perp-DEXs. And here's your big 3 winners. We talked about them in the last 15 minutes, Hyperliquid, Lighter, and Aster. But what we're going to do is compare them. So if Lighter is putting over 50% of the 24-hour volume as Hyperliquid, then clearly it's a much better asymmetric risk. Open interest. This is a big difference. So the open interest is much higher on Hyperliquid, which typically leads to fees. Now we got some perp volume on the 7-day, and it looks like Lighter's actually winning on the 7-day, but I would take a grain of salt with this one because Lighter's a hot project. Everyone's going over there right now. You know, they're telling their moms, they're screaming on the rooftops about what Lighter is, and people are going to use it over the next, like today, starting today. Actually, it's been out for a long time, but the volume's going to go up big time as of today because the token's here. So something to consider is asymmetrically, I am a huge advocate of getting some exposure to Lighter. And I think with the Perp-DEXs, we are in an era that's going to stick because we look at niches in crypto, for example, artificial intelligence. It didn't do well last bull market. We had like AGIX, we had Graph, etc. This bull market, we had Render, TAO. Things really kicked off for AI in particular. Last bull market, gaming did very well. This bull market, gaming was nowhere to be found. So Perp-DEXs, I think they're going to stick around for the next bull market because they allow you to make money. They allow you to trade volume. They're not built off of hype. They're built off of innovation and also giving you the ability to get access to all your favorite cryptocurrencies. So, and also leverage. You can short, you can long, you can have fun, decentralized, which is awesome. You can bypass all the fees that these Coinbases are trying to take from you. So Coinbase has some outrageous fees, and these Perp-DEXs allow you to shoot through. So for me and my household, we are buying some Aster. So if I had like a little cheer icon, I'd play it right now. You know, celebrate, boom, boom, boom. All right. with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into some Q&A because I was very long-winded there. I went 30 minutes and didn't even read a question. This is the first time, by the way. I have not read y'all's questions yet. So, all right, MP, what up, dog? I don't like the symbol. Remind me of the SN, SS. I'm not gonna say that second word, but I understand what you're saying. I'm here to listen to. All right. Well, I hope you guys are listening and learning. So I'm not calling it over for Bitcoin, but I have some charts and they are scary, says Wrong Again. Hey, Wrong Again. I'm a big believer of this 4-year cycle. So I'm probably right there with you. Most likely, I'm going to believe everything you have to say with those charts. MP, here we go. He is not buying yet. Then I'll not buy for now. All right, MP. So none of what I said is financial advice. Again, this is Crux going through my mind as an analyst and bringing you guys the alpha. So hopefully you take some of it. He is not okay. Yeah, buying more TAO this dip. I definitely encourage that one. And we'll jump into some more TAO news here shortly. Lighter equals sell, says Wrong Again. So again, Wrong Again he's a chart guy. Now, I don't know how much you can go off of price action for something that's only been out for a couple hours, but I mean, you could still make some money. I personally think Lighter is going to do very well, especially if we go into a bull market from here. If not, what did I say? Remember what I just said. That team gets those tokens. Well, so through cliff unlocks, you have a 3-year linear unlock. You have a cliff that starts this time next year. So if you're going to be a long-term holder of Lighter, buy now, hold for a year, get out. Maybe December. So here's the thing. So you could hold for a year and then get your 20% long-term capital gains tax incentive and, sell at a lower price. Or you could hold until December, sell before everybody buys a rumor, sells the news on the token unlocked from the team, and you could take the higher price. So that's 2 ways you could play this one. I always hold everything for at least a year minimum. That's just how I invest. What up, Crux? Long time no see, bro. What up, Ken? Hope all is well. Hope you guys are staying for the alpha. Zeke called in Discord at 3:15 by one of the pros. So Zcash, I talked a little bit about it earlier. I'm not a big fan of it. Hopefully you guys are making money over there. The VIP trading group, by the way, is the hottest trading group out there. I'm telling you. So I personally don't trade, but I do monitor these guys. And they're really good at what they do. I'll tell you. These guys trade with leverage. We have 5 pro traders at this point. We have Rufio, Steve, Silent. We have a couple others. And so it's bigger than just Tim out there. You get perspectives from different types. And I'll talk a little bit about the Whop memberships later on in the stream. And definitely check those out down below. Thank you for what you do, Crux. Yeah, you're welcome, Enrique. I think this was a very good stream so far to kind of help point you guys in the direction of how analysts think. Wife bought some bonk. Let's go. Team bonk, where you at? If you got some bonk, throw some B's in chat. My bonk bags are packed. I'm telling you, they've been packed for years. I'm talking multiple years. I got me some bonk and I ain't selling. All right. A red candle for the year. Wrong Again. We're just hours out, but I'm right there with you. And I just told you, I'm going to be making a video on that because I think it's important. 4-year cycle, the year after the Bitcoin's halving, has always been a green year. And not just a green year, a very green year. We are on the cusp. I think it's 93K. You can double check me on that one. We must hit that in the next 36 hours or so. We will see. Is Arrow dead, says MP? I don't think it is. I think Aerodrome has just taken a hit like all these other projects are. Will Hyper have a chance to gain $40 again? MP, very good question. Hyper going into the next bull market doesn't just have to compete with Lighter and Aster. It has to compete with Uniswap. It has to compete with PancakeSwap. And so PancakeSwap integrated into Binance. So their trading volume is absolutely insane. Uniswap is starting to move into the Perp-DEX era. And get this, we have a Perp-DEX that's coming out on Solana called Percolator. So that's one I would definitely be keeping my eyes on. In the Gem Hunters, this is what we do. We find those plays before they launch and try to get you guys educated on them because that's how you make money. something that I might do next bull market is start looking into pre-sales, because again, if you're able to get in before the initial launch, it's pretty huge. We had some people, well, I posted about being able to get into Mega ETH. So this is the layer 2 scaling solution that Vitalik Buterin has personally put his name on. And anything that a visionary puts their name on, I'm choosing that as the winner. So over OP Stack, over a Arbitrum, over all these scaling solutions, I'm putting Mega ETH there. Why? Because Vitalik has put his name on it. So big note on Lighter. All right. So I see some more comments, but you guys could keep on commenting, keep discussing in the comments. Also, there's a poll running right now. Let's see. Are you guys still buying crypto? 72% of y'all are DCAing or bulk buying. So you guys are doing a little bit different than Crooks, which is fine. Neutral, we have about 28% of you guys not buying or selling. And then nobody has sold. So that's good. Nobody has sold all their crypto. And we will see. So I do think the 4-year cycle is still in play. I do think worst case scenario is we could see a possible $40,000 Bitcoin. That does not mean run and sell all your crypto, but it does mean to prepare yourself. Prepare. So Crux has not bought anything in almost 6 months at this. Well, probably like 4 months at this point, maybe even longer. I don't know. And I won't be buying anything for at least another 6 months. I'm just dry hoarding capital. And I'm getting pretty close to 6 figures in dry powder. So we will see. By this time next year, I'll be much, much more of just dry powder. And I talk about getting that 1 Bitcoin. If we can all just get 0.1 Bitcoin, by the way, doesn't even have to be 1, 0.1 Bitcoin. Save $4,000 by October of next year, and you have the ability to do so. Don't have to be rich. You have to know how to buy and when to buy. And again, like I've said many, many times on this channel, you get rich in bear markets. You make some wealth in bull markets. So when everybody's running for the hills, when Crux only has 25 concurrent viewers, whenever, 6 months ago I'd have 100 plus, this is when you're going to be making the most money, is this message here. When everybody runs, pay attention. All right. With that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the big second story of the day, which is going to be, I already talked about that. Grayscale. Let's go, Grayscale. So first of all, I'm not a big fan of Grayscale. If you don't know, a little backstory on them. Barry Silbert? Yeah. Okay, so Barry Silbert is the founder of Grayscale, or the CEO, one of the two. Anyways, this group got there way before the institutions and the ETFs. They are the primary institution in crypto. So if we look at last bull market, before ETFs, by the way, Grayscale was the dogs. They own not only the biggest mining company in all of crypto, mining pool rather, Foundry USA. They own Cointelegraph, so they own the news, they own the means of production, they own essentially a lot of the cryptocurrencies through these trusts. So we have these trusts that have been sold off into these ETFs, and they are absolutely crushing it. But I'm not a big fan of who they what they do. Essentially, they bought some Zcash from pretty low before investors were able to get into it. So I don't like whenever institutions are able to get in for pennies on the dime and then they can dump on you, and that's what these guys do. So always take this with a grain of salt. But TAO is the big dog of the day, and for the first time ever, we have a S1 with the SEC to register Grayscale bittensor Trust. The trusts are definitely different than ETFs and ETPs, etc., but they're pretty similar in nature in terms of somebody buys on the behalf of retail. So shout out if you're holding some TAO, that's pretty dope. And here's I guess a little bit more in-depth version of it. The bittensor ETP aims to provide regulated access to decentralized AI tokens. Now, what makes bittensor TAO so awesome is I think it's their diversification. So they can do like 90% of what Render can do. They can do 100% of what Virtuals can do. And those, in my opinion, are the two best AI plays besides TAO, right? So if I look at what Virtuals can do, it can only do like 5% of what TAO can do. And Render can do like 5% of what TAO can do. And it's clearly the best asymmetric AI bet in all of crypto. Plus, their mission schedules copies Bitcoin. So they just went through their initial halving event. Every 4 years, they have the supply, very similar to Bitcoin. So I like bittensor TAO. And all right. So I talked a little bit earlier about the memberships. We have 3 Whop memberships. And the first one is the Essentials. We have a VIP trading group with over 500 members. So we have 350 plus Whop members, but we also have some grandfathered in through our Lex algo back in the day. So our VIP trading group is insane. These guys are pulling in, I mean, they send me screenshots all the time, quite a bit of money. You get trade setups, you get trade alerts, you get training, you get Q&A sessions daily, by the way. Next up, we have the Academy. So the Academy is something myself, T-Shroom, and Tim have created, and we've also added a section by one of our pro traders. His name is Rufio, and he's going to go through Elliott waves. So if you know anything about trading, Elliott waves have pretty cool, 3-5 wave designs, patterns on how you can trade breakouts or breakdowns. And then lastly, we have the Gem Hunters. So this is a group I specifically run, and we talked about Lighter already. We've talked about Canton, which that's a project that I'll be dropping probably a video on the next couple weeks. But we're talking about all the projects before they hit the mainstream. So if you want to support the channel, make sure you check out our Whop memberships. Link in the description below. All right. So this is another big story of the day. Didn't quite make my top 2, but it is my 3rd biggest story. And we have a crypto clarity coming. And this is Senator Cynthia Lummis announcing RFIA 2026. And this is the first time I've even heard of RFIA, by the way. So this is the Responsible Financial Innovation Act of 2026. It'll draw a clear line between securities and commodities. This isn't the first time that I've heard of this. This is exactly what the Crypto Task Force was set out to do, was to figure this out. And then also Ripple Labs. Shout out Ripple Labs, XRP Army, if you're in the house. They smoked the SEC. Got Gary Gensler fired, by the way. Well, I mean, he stepped down. He resigned, but I call it fired. There's no way he's holding that position. And we now know crypto is treating it as a commodity as opposed to a security because the SEC dropped all the lawsuits. What about Uniswap? What about Coinbase? All these lawsuits throughout 2023, throughout 2024 are dropped. So finally get to see it. The CFTC are in the way. And it's a good thing for us because we want crypto treated as property, similar to gold, as opposed to a security where there's tough regulations behind it. So now, this is pretty interesting because I see regulate stablecoins with 100% reserves and 1-to-1 redemption. I would consider the Clarity Act being more in tune with what's going on there, but we'll see. Maybe this is a specific part of the Clarity Act. I'm not sure, but what I do know is we have crypto regulation coming, and I do think that this last bull market was the regulatory cycle, and I think the next bull market is the institutional cycle. So hold on, strap in. Do not sell all your crypto. If you want to take profits, fine, but have a plan to get back in because we are far from over, and we are just in the initial stages. And let me throw a couple fun facts to build some hopium for you. If you hold Bitcoin for 3 years, just 3 years, 99% of the chance you will make money. If you hold Bitcoin for 1 day, there's a 53% chance you will make money. If you hold it for a year, I think it's like 62%. So we are in an asset class that is quickly growing. The odds are better than any other asset class right now. So you can go buy gold. You can sell your Bitcoin, buy gold, silver, whatever. Have fun with it. But the stats do not lie. In terms of a 15-year window, we are doing things no other asset class has ever done. And I'm here for it. So I don't want you guys to sell all your crypto thinking that you're late to the party. 5% of the global population owns 0 Bitcoin. 0. And we've already got it to $4 trillion with only 5% of the global population. Things to consider. This is before governments have put taxpayer dollars in. I'm just overly bullish on this stuff. All right. So here is a little bit of contrarian view, because I do believe we are in a bear market, and I do believe in bear winter, because I'm a realist. I understand the difference between price and value. So the value is going up, the price is going down. And to me, it's just smarter to buy more, as it goes lower and lower, the value is going up. Buy those dips. Okay, so here's 4 different things that people think that's going to break this 4-year cycle. So first of all, you have the ISM. I broke it down in a video that I just dropped yesterday, and a lot of people think since the ISM has flattened out, that Bitcoin price is flattened out. I think this is a fair argument. This means we're going to go into Q4 2026, and 2026 is going to be bullish. So of all the different theses or theories that I've heard, the ISM is by far the most pronounced. It's the most adopted in terms of which one's going to win. So that is number 1 is the ISM, which makes sense. The business cycle, liquidity makes sense. Number 2, we have gold. So you see the price of gold. All the RSI comes down to hit this line, and then you see the price of Bitcoin up there. It hits that line as well. Typically, as gold goes down, Bitcoin should go up, as they are not contradicts, but they're inverse. So as one goes down, the other goes up, etc. And that's something to consider. Gold can't just run forever. Eventually it's got to take profits and find its way into crypto. This one I'm not too knowledgeable in. Now, I know there's different cycles within markets. You have the 18-year real estate market. It says we're right here. So I would not be surprised, you guys remember 2008 financial collapse, if something happens. And then a chart that most of you people that have been investing for a while now is you have this thing, very much like in term with how, I think his name was Nathan Turning, who talked about those cycles in his book. But yeah, so we have cycles within investing, and then crypto fits within those cycles. Either way, I think by this time next year, prices will be much, much, much lower. So whether it's the scarcity, or whether it's the just a typical bear winter, or if it's the real estate market selling off, or I don't know, just any of these, gold keep going up, it's going to send Bitcoin down. Something to consider. Okay. Next up, so down below in the description, I have a brand new Instagram account. So if you're on Instagram, make sure you show Crux some love. I have 35 followers, and I appreciate it because I just started this last week. So I am growing it. I got some shorts. I got some content for you. I got the goods. And I think you guys will enjoy me over there on Instagram. Plus, I didn't leave TikTok followers behind. For the first time ever, your boy Crux created a TikTok account. So I don't even have a personal TikTok. I get scared of this app because as soon as I open it, it already plays a video. If you hit the back button, it plays another video. So it is super, like, it pushes you into it. And then it tries to push algorithms on you. So I'm not overly bullish on TikTok in general, but I know where the masses are, and Crux has to reach every single facet of the earth, from the people in Nigeria to Americans to Europeans to, I'm going global with this thing, y'all. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. So TikTok, Instagram, send me to where I need to go, and I appreciate y'all for showing some love. All right, next up, this video dropped yesterday. It's a supply shock video, and I'll just give a quick little pitch, and you can watch it after this, but it's all about what I talked about earlier, price and value, 2 different things. Scarcity plays a huge role in this. And then also, if everyone's buying Bitcoin, if there's more Bitcoin being purchased daily by 7 times than what's coming into circulation through Bitcoin mining, why is the price dropping? Well, I answered in this video, so make sure you watch it after this. Next up, this video is going to drop later this week. Your boy Crux is going through, he's going to explain the Ondo token unlock over there. H-bar, you have a new, so basically, well, I'm not going to spoil it, but H-bar has some fixed fees that are coming soon for the enterprise institutions, or enterprise grade institutions, and it's pretty dope. So I'd love to see what H-bar is doing over there in the month of January. And then last but not least, cycles are broken. I'm waiting to script this one out because technically this year is not a red year, but I'll be going into what 2026 will look like with Bitcoin. So, all right, I still have a good amount of time for Q&A here. Hope you guys are liking this content. And again, I'm Crux. If it's your first time here, make sure you smash that like and make sure you subscribe. because we are changing the world here. Red candle equals 4-year cycle broken, says wrong again. I disagree. So the 4-year cycle, yeah. So, okay, so the 4-year cycle basically says the year after Bitcoin's halving. Okay, so Q4 the year after Bitcoin's halving marks a peak, which happened, by the way. So October, or a little bit before October 10th, that event, Bitcoin hits 126K or 125K, somewhere up there. So Q4 the year after Bitcoin's halving marks a peak. We just went into bear market sooner than expected, but people call it a 4-year cycle, but it's technically 3 years and 10 months. So if we look at each cycle, they actually get they're actually about as long, but that 2-year sell-off kind of leads people to sell off earlier and try to front run things. So that's very important. So the 4-year cycle is definitely not broken in relation to that theory. So if you want to define the yearly candles being your 4-year cycle guide, I think that's wrong. But I mean, that's the way you look at it. The real ones are still here, bro. Right, Mike. You guys are going to make some money, I'm telling you, because you get rich in bear markets. Smash a like, says Indy Halo. What up, Indy? Shout out to the Givers Gang community. Love you all. Appreciate it. Ken says, I'm not a fan of GS. Grayscale is GS, by the way. Yeah, I'm not a fan of them. I think they control too much. I think what Barry Silbert has done with Zcash, it really upsets me. So Zcash is clearly manipulated. Look at Arthur Hayes. Look at Barry Silbert. Look at all these angel investors. So, disclaimer: Arthur Hayes, I don't think is an angel investor. Grayscale bought Zcash. Barry Silbert personally bought Zcash, and then out of nowhere, we are talking about Q4 2025, October. All of them just start pumping their own bags, and I feel like it was a lot of shareholders got upset of the October 10th event, and to save face, they go back and they talk about this proof of work. Technically, it's a fork of Bitcoin, this legacy network that did something cool, and I don't trust it. I don't. I think it's just smart people with a lot of money that are trying to find people as exit liquidity. And if you look at the emissions of Zcash, go look at their chart. The very initial is a huge sell-off from the miners. And all of those angel investors like Barry Silbert, guess who got dumped on? Them. So guess who's going to get revenge? Them. And again, I have a deep dive video on Zcash. That's why I know so much about this. I don't just stand up here and just splurt stuff without doing the research. I do what I can from an educated perspective. And again, take everything what I say with a grain of salt, because I don't get everything right, but I get a lot right. 24 watching. Why not 24 likes? That's a good question, Mike. We got lurkers. Smash that like for Crux. He puts in a lot of time into this alpha. Bitcoin is kicking assets. I agree. 2025 was the bear market. Ooh, wrong again. Okay, wrong again, coming through with a bold statement. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and run the poll for that one. So wrong again. He says 2025 was a bear market. Is this true? Yes and no. All right. So you guys have fun with that poll. I'm going to disagree with this one. I'm going to say 2025 was just a horrible end to a bull market, and we're about to go through a rough period in 2026. But again, I'm only 60% certain on that. I'm not saying with 80, 90, specifically not 100%. I am saying that's how I feel, which if you're the other direction, I don't hate you for it. You have a lot of stuff that's backing you on that. So Mike's not wrong. Click the like. Let's help Crux's algorithm. Your boy Crux, we're still trying to get views in a down market. It is what it is. If Bitcoin was 150K right now, I'd probably have like 300 people in here, by the way. So it's unfortunate, but I think that's, if I use reverse psychology, I buy when people are fearful and I sell when others are greedy. And if we're looking at the likes and the views of these videos, you can definitely figure out who is fearful and when you should be buying. So Ken Muster says, with ETFs, tariffs, and market saturation from all of these created coin crap just messed up the market this bull run. I agree. And I'll get into that here in a second. He continues to say, I think anybody knew what to do. I don't think anybody knew what to do, but just in my opinion. Ken, that is a very good take, by the way. This is very slept on. So I talked earlier about every quarter a new L1 was dropped this whole bull market. So how does Miston Labs create SUI and continue to get money pumped into SUI whenever Monad drops a project and all these projects keep dropping? It distributes the money as opposed to accumulates within specific projects. So if more projects are being created than people joining crypto, it's going to be very difficult to put that market cap way past 4 trillion. That's something to consider. And that's the Bitcoin Maxi's number one just argument is, why are y'all coming into the space taken away from Bitcoin? Even Ethereum, if you added all of this money from Ethereum to Solana, XRP, and put it into Bitcoin, a lot more people would believe in it. So unfortunately, that's how the way people think. The more valuable something is, the easier it is to believe in. And for us, we front run it. We understand the value before the price moves. That's how we make money. Very important. Angel says, I don't like the TikTok. Yeah, I don't like TikTok either. But Angel, by the way, I appreciate you following me over there on Instagram. Ken says, great video on supply shock crux. Yeah, thank you, Ken. I do my best to educate you guys on where we're at. So 21 million Bitcoin will ever be created, and 20 million are in circulation. So across all of this time until 2140, only 1 million more will ever be created. And right now they're coming out 3.125 a day. Actually, 3.125 a block. So, all right. How are you doing, Crux? Happy New Year. We'll rewatch this. Hey, Daniel, what's up? Go, Daniel. So Daniel, he's one of the fellow gem hunters. Again, and I'll give a quick last pitch for the gem hunters, wrap it up with some Q&A, and we are done for the day. But we have our 3 Whop memberships. We got the VIP trading group, over 350 active members within these 3 tiers, and over 500 plus members in the VIP trading group. So if you're thinking about trading, getting in and out of crypto, wrong again. He is a pro trader. We have a lot of pro traders in our community that help other people. Next up, we got the Academy. These are pre-recorded videos, static videos. I teach people how to create that perfect portfolio. Tim teaches people how to go from rookie to pro trading. And T-Shroom is over there teaching you the macroeconomics. Why is gold going up? What's going on in China? Those type of things. Now, lastly, the Gem Hunters is where we find those low cap opportunities before they send. So if this is your first time, make sure you subscribe because we bring alpha here on this channel. And I'll read 2 more questions and we will wrap this up. All right, I've been away for a few weeks. Glad to be able to watch you again. Super excited to hear that you have a new Instagram account. Let's go, Aaron. I agree about TikTok, not a fan either. Appreciate all you do. So you guys are giving me, like, this is the reason I'm here. All of these comments, and there's more comments about you guys supporting me than questions, which is crazy. Because the only thing, I was talking to T-Shroom yesterday, the only thing that's stopping us from blowing up is the price of Bitcoin. Because I know the content we create here is valuable. It's good. And I know because I was in y'all's position. Last bull market, I was soaking all of this up. So from around the blockchain, I would watch every day. You know, Ben Armstrong, Benjamin Cowan, all of these people I learned. I learned what to do, what not to do. And I'm just essentially, I just soaked it all up and here it is. You know, you get the new updated version of it with a different touch. So I think myself, Tim, and T-Shroom, we're going to be big. We're going to be there. All right. Let's see, Angel, you are honestly the best channel, Crux, especially your live shows. Yeah, thank you. So I'll be honest. I went to 1 live stream a week, which is today, Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, because the markets have slumped, but I've focused more on my static content. So I've been really studying Mr. Beast in particular and a couple other YouTubers on how they create content. So from the title to the thumbnail to all of this stuff. And if you go back, look at my videos, the thumbnails are getting kind of good. That's your boy Crux. The titles, Crux. The scripts, Crux. Everything is Crux other than the editing on my videos. So shout out Leandro. He's dope. He's a dope editor. And I think we're going to take into the next era in 2026. So Ken Muster says, it's what I've learned to do from y'all. Do your own research and have your own opinions. Of course, me, Tim, T-Shroom, we don't all agree on everything. We don't get everything right either. You know, Tim was talking about pretty high link. Crux was talking about a very high Caspa. So there's clearly stuff we don't get right. And I think that's what y'all like about us is we are willing to admit our losses and we're not going to say we know it all. You know, I've made more money and lost more money than anybody I know personally in crypto. So that's something to consider as experience is huge whenever you're presenting content because you speak from experience. That's very important. Friday says, hey, Crux, remember on Discord about 6 months ago, I talked about Zcash. My friend bought $60K when it was $25. See, your boy Crux doesn't know everything. I probably told you 6 months ago, by the way, I wouldn't buy it because it is a fork of Bitcoin. Now, what drove Zcash to the moon in Q4 of this year was manipulation, clearly. I talked about it. If you weren't here the whole time Friday, definitely rewind it after this. I talk about, and I go into the seed rounds with Barry Silbert personally investing, with Grayscale personally investing, well, as a company, and whoever else. So very important deep dive on my channel on that project in particular. I don't think Zcash has a bright future though. You know, and it kind of sucks to say. I think ZK knowledge proof is pretty dope, but it's just a feature of a technology. So it's kind of like a smart contract. You can have smart contracts on ICP through canisters. You can have smart contracts on Solana or Sui. It is a piece of a blockchain or a feature of a blockchain. So you have ZK proofs that are going to be put within the vProgs of Caspa. So the technologies that create and innovate are the ones I want, which is why I'm super bullish on Caspa. All right, Ken Monster, live streams just make it down to earth. Like them for sure. Yeah, because static content is rehearsed. It's pre-recorded, I'll be honest. I work on inflections. It's like me being an actor, essentially. So it's good content, but it's me acting. This is the raw crux. This is where you get to know me. So live streams are very important for community. So that's what I'm here to do. Show my face and let you guys know you are not alone. We're all down in our bags, but we have to have a plan. So as long as you have a plan to fix this, we're going to be good. So that being said, I still have 25 of you guys in here. I appreciate all 25 of you guys. Maybe next week we can push 30. So let's try to do one step at a time. Without further ado, you guys go out, have a blessed week. I'll be back next Tuesday. And then remember, I drop a top 5 January picks video next, probably on Thursday of this week. So be on the lookout for that one. Be blessed.